I think you were asking me about why you think it's missed.
Yeah. What's the reasons you think?
I was gonna say, do you want me to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot of things that are missed because there's not a drug for it. I see this in labs a lot. And I think that, again, if you go into a primary doctor and tell them that you have anxiety, they're trained to diagnose and prescribe. And I don't think that that's a horrible thing. I think doctors are really important. And I think that medication can be life-saving. It's just that we've gotten away from utilizing our doctors and medication for, in my opinion, the right things. We use them for the wrong things so many times. So you go in with a symptom, you have a diagnosis and a prescription. The end. They are not in the business of digging for a root cause.
Pressure. I'm feeling the pressure, man.
Don't feel pressure, B. You're made for this, man.
How you doing, my man?
Brother, how am I doing? I'm doing great. I took care of my car today. I found out that my car needs about $1,400 worth of work. And I'm super excited because I caught it before it busted on me. So I'm like, yes, I love my car, man. So I'm like,
you caught it before it was $5,000 worth of work.
Precisely. Maintenance is much better than repair, baby.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Hey, but how you doing, B?
Everything's great, man. Everything's great. It's funny. I got my car fixed yesterday. My tires I need to get. It was driving down the road and I was like, geez. I'm like, this ain't good. No. But just a little rotation. It's all good now.
All
It's
right.
all good. Yeah, everything's great, man. No complaints. I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah,
I'm pumped. I'm ready.
What excites you about it?
I like for those who don't know, all right, so let's get into it. So welcome to More Than Black and White. I'm Brian. This is my boy, my brother, Paul Newell, co-host. We dive into all things health, nutrition, mental, emotional, being, everything in between. Paul, we've had some crazy conversations, and I'm looking forward to many more crazy conversations with you. If you're a first-time listener, man, we are so grateful to have you here. Hope you enjoy the conversation. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for riding along with us. I'm ready to get into it.
Yo, bless up, brother. I swear to goodness, when I hear you do the intro, it's like my favorite TV show. I'm like, we're gonna get started. So thank you for that intro. And we got a special guest today. We got a guest I met a while ago when we were both. Well, I think we were both in the health and wellness space beforehand. Wow, because when you and I were at a meeting at Starbucks, B, I saw her and I was like, I know that woman.
I remember that. You went up to her and you started talking to her after I left. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I remember you saying that. You're like, where do I know that woman for? All right, cool.
Yeah. And I think you also told me you better start looking at her before she calls the cops.
Yeah. That was a little strange, man.
I think I know her. I do though.
Another restraining order.
Exactly. I'm working on reducing those, man. But I think it's gonna. I'm excited for this episode because she specializes in gut health. And bro, like when you and I first started really connecting as friends, you schooled me a lot on gut health, man. So I know that's why I'm excited. And listen, man. Without any further ado, let's bring our buddy on here.
Bring her in.
What do you say, B?
Let's do it.
All right, Kate. What up, Kate? How you doing?
Can you guys hear me cracking up in the background or no?
No, we didn't. Good stuff. All right.
You're having it's good.
Kate?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nice.
Thanks for having me.
What's that?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming in.
Let's start off, everybody. This is Kate. She has a practice where she helps people get in alignment with their health and well-being through gut health. And I'm excited for her to talk about how she does how she shows up in her profession, how she shows up at helping others. So Kate, for the crowd, for the people that have yet to know you, talk to us about your journey and a little bit of your background. And if you can include in there like your favorite movie to watch when you're overwhelmed. If you can include that in, that'll be a good icebreaker.
Oh, does it have to be a movie?
No, not at all.
I'm a Friends and Seinfeld reruns junkie. Like just pretty much every night when I just need to relax. Those are my favorites.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
that.
embarrassed. I've never actually watched one episode of Seinfeld.
We're taking you
I
off
know.
the podcast
I
right
know.
now.
I'm out. I got to get on it. I'm a little embarrassed by saying that, but there's always one.
All right. I will make it Seinfeld.
Okay.
Nice. Good. Now that we know Seinfeld and
Yeah.
Friends, tell us about your background. Tell us how you got into this and what brought you to where you are in helping people through the gut health right now.
So I am the daughter of a chiropractor. So I've been raised in a very, I'll call it holistic environment. I always joke around and tell people I was that kid that no one ever wanted to trade lunches with because I had like the whole wheat bread and sugar. So that's how I was raised. But so I feel like I've always kind of been in this world of functional medicine, holistic medicine, whatever you want to call it. I've definitely had a progression. When I was in my early 30s, just had 3 kids in 4 years and was overweight and overtired and all the things and miserable. I went to my doctor and said, you got to help me. And she pretty much didn't have any answers other than, some kind of a medication. And I didn't like that answer. And so I went on a journey searching for answers to my own health issues. And the first thing I came upon was a food sensitivity test. So I wasn't severely overweight, but it was enough where it was really bothering me. The biggest thing was that I was all of a sudden in my 30s developing adult acne. And I had never had skin issues before in my life. So that's what led me to the food sensitivity testing. But I learned that I had developed a sensitivity to dairy. And it was through a finger stick test that I could do at home. I cut the dairy from my diet, and within a month, my entire face was clear, and I never dealt with that again. And I thought, wow, if that's all I need to do, then what else can I do for the weight? And my libido was in the tank. Like I was a mess. And so I dove into functional medicine, and I did a million different certification courses, and I discovered what I needed to do to heal my own body. And once I did that, I had to share it with other people. So I kind of joke around that I didn't mean to start a business, but I did.
Wow.
Love it.
Yeah. Wow. You're like your version of the people we're looking to talk to, the people that want to be an advocate for their own health. Because what I was hearing you say is the doctor was like, we'll put you on some meds. And you were like, you know what? Take that.
Yeah.
So that's brave. That's brave. And I'm curious for you, how did you start the journey? Like I heard you said some tests, but what was it that really kicked you off? Because it sounds like you had some sort of a base already about holistic living and that kind of background.
Yeah, when I first started my practice, I was health coaching. I didn't have the certifications in order to run labs. So I partnered with an MD and and he would run labs for me when I needed them for my clients.
Okay.
And I did some great work with people, like people need to know you got to drink water and stop eating so much sugar and stuff like that. So I could make a difference that way. But when I get to the really hard cases, I would say to them, go to your doctor, ask for these tests, ask for a hormone test, ask for a food sensitivity test or whatever it was. And every single time they would come back to me and say, my doctor told me no. And I don't like that answer. So I figured out a way to help them make it happen. In the beginning, it was, I would find a lab that was willing to do like direct to consumer work. And then I would help them with those labs. And after a while, it just got a little bit exhausting for me. So I went back to get my my certifications that I could order labs myself as a practitioner. But still to this day, all of my clients have asked for labs and have been told no. And I tell people that I will run any lab that you want me to run. It's probably not a popular opinion in the medical community, but I think that we deserve to have whatever information we want about what's going on inside of our bodies. True. And now there are labs that will do that for us. So I love it, but there's still that piece of it where people need an advocate.
Yeah. True. B, that's like, I remember, Brian, when you started talking, when you and I shared, or you shared actually, about how you got started, like some of the things I heard from Kate were some things that I think you experienced as well, as far as like getting back on track and starting to take control of what was happening for yourself, man. Yeah.
My whole, I guess, real fitness journey started when probably like when I was a kid growing up. I had like IBS issues, a lot of gut issues, bad acne and everything like that. And then late in my 20s, I wound up getting like an infection in my organs. And I was basically like, hospitalized for a couple of days. And all they did was give me this drug. And at the time I was like, all right, so I took this drug and I had no idea what was causing it. And I remember feeling better, going back to the doctor for a follow-up. And I'm like, well, how does this happen? And they were like, oh, these things just happen. I'm like, well, that's not a good enough answer. Yeah. So I was kind of talking to a buddy of mine who knew a doctor, more of a holistic doctor. And at the time, holistic doctor in my head was like, all right, what kind of like voodoo witchcraft shit is this person going to like put on me? So I had no idea. And I went in to go talk to this person because I didn't have an answer from anybody in the medical profession. So I went in there, and I remember the first thing the doctor goes, all right, I want you to write down everything that you're eating. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm writing it down. And as I got to like the fourth or fifth thing, I was like an epiphany. I was like, holy shit, like I'm doing this to myself. And then I started like going down the holistic version or the holistic education, started taking course from like Paul Chek. I got certified as a holistic health practitioner, and like all these things just started making sense. It was like all these light bulbs kept going off every day. It was like, oh my God, like how are they not teaching this stuff? Like this is like such like common sense, So that's how I kind of went down the rabbit hole and realized some more things and everything like that. But it was, I'm sure we could talk about, but that's how, we have a kind of a similar thing. We both were kind of like sick growing up, had the symptoms, and it was like nobody in the medical profession didn't know the answer to it without prescribing some kind of synthetic drug.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Still happening.
Still happening.
Still happening.
There's two things I'm realizing after hearing you two talk. The first thing is I get super excited when Brian gets excited about talking about this because he's like a kid, man. I love because he's like, oh, I want to talk about this all day. Like, oh, tell you about this. It's just like I freaking dig the passion. The second thing is how I'm thinking might be best to share this gut health this session is to basically go through the session like based on your two experiences. But I first want to talk about the gut symptom connection. And you said that, Kate, I think in one of your, in one of, it was either on your website or something that you wrote, you talked about symptoms being a messenger.
Yes.
So can you talk like and Brian, I know you said this before, so I'd like to hear from both of you, like what that means for you. What's like the experience that you've had in helping people where the symptoms have really been like, yo, you got to pay attention to this, whether for yourself or someone you work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kate,
yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm trying to reframe it a little for people that symptoms are not the enemy. They're our friend. Like it's the way that the body's talking to us or screaming at us and telling us that there's something going on. Like most of the complaints I get from my clients that are gut related, and we might not know they're gut related until we run some labs, but the things that I see most common are everybody's exhausted, just so like chronic fatigue, weight loss resistance is huge, and acne, eczema, like all kinds of skin issues, But I'm even seeing a lot of the anxiety and depression issues. And I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, which I can touch on later about an article that I recently wrote about a lot of kids that are dealing with this. And so these are symptoms. Most people wouldn't think, and even unfortunately, a lot of doctors wouldn't immediately think, oh, we got to look inside the gut and see what's going on when we're talking about eczema or acne or depression or anxiety. So, those, even though they're a symptom that might not tell you exactly what's going on, it's a message. It is your body telling you, you need to figure out what's going on inside, and hopefully not to put a Band-Aid on it. But it's sort of a reframe around symptoms.
Thank you for that. Okay. So I'm hearing is just like getting is what I'm hearing you say is like really getting the medical profession to reframe and begin to even consider that there could be something happening in the gut with a lot of these symptoms that are coming across rather than giving them medicine.
Yeah, it's sort of an invitation, I think, to be curious, right? So I'll use my kids as an example. Mom, I have a headache. Okay, well, most of us would say, here's an Advil, but why don't we ask the question, why do you think you have a headache? And because just like Brian, you were talking about writing all your foods down, you figured it out. You saw it in front of you because you just got curious. And I know you had somebody there helping you do that. But, so have you had any water today is the first question I would ask my kid if they had a headache. And they might immediately say no. And then there you have it. Have some water, your headache goes away. So the symptoms are an invitation to be really curious about what's going on inside.
Thank you for that. Brian, any wisdom you want to add to that, bud?
Yeah, I mean, just sort of like Paul, I mean, you could probably relate, just being in the fitness field, like being trainers for so long, we have so many people that come to us that are like, brain fog, they're overweight, they can't lose weight, and it's all in their stomach. They have all these symptoms, they have arthritis, they have back pain, they have knee pain, everything like that. And I'm like, and I try to break it down for them. And like on a holistic level, the way your body works is your muscles are controlled by organs, the organs controlled by hormones, and your hormones are controlled by the foods and thoughts you put in your body. So like everything emanates from the core outwards. And I always get the same thing. All right, can you show me a couple of core exercises? I'm like, no, man. The core no, the core from you get the results outside of the gym. You know what I mean? So, and I try to tell people people they don't understand 90% of your neurotransmitters, like your dopamine, your serotonin. I mean, you'll know this better than me, Kate. Are produced in your gut. Most people have leaky gut. Their body is totally inflamed. And it just it leads to so many issues, and people don't realize every time you put something synthetic in your body, it just shuts off your immune system just goes crazy because your body doesn't recognize it's trying to flush it out. And most people that come to us, it's so hard. It's like an uphill battle that they've been dealing with illnesses and diseases for so long, and every time they have a sniffle, they take an antibiotic. And that's like putting napalm in your gut and just blows everything up, and it takes years for it to recover. So it's just this uphill battle. Then telling people, hey, you got to eat cleaner, you got to eat organic, you got to drink water, you got to get to sleep, you got to work on your thoughts. And it's almost like it's not sexy enough for them to really okay, I'm ready to do it. It's always as a last resort when everything else fails. Right. So it's tough. People rather Paul, we talked about this in a past episode. You brought this up. Most people want something tangible. They want a pill they can take, feel like they're doing something. Telling somebody hey, your body's dehydrated, needs more water. You're putting too many, herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, glyphosate in your body. It's destroying your body. It's oh, okay, I'll drink. I'll just keep working out more. I'll do more cardio.
It's crazy.
It's that's my experience with working in the fitness field.
So this is really interesting because it's really, the fitness field is funky like that because people really, it's like those memes I'm constantly seeing where there's a long line for people that just want an end result, and there's no line for people that want lifestyle change. It's I don't want to do that. I want just a pill. So I'm curious, I'm curious. Was that?
Hard.
It takes a lot of responsibility. And most important thing, it takes a lot of energy to make change. And people don't have enough energy in their body because their gut's all jacked up.
Right.
I mean, I get that. Yet at the same time, it took them energy to get to that place in the first place. So, I mean, come on, man. What are we talking about here? So, and speaking of what are we talking about? I'm hearing from both of you and Brian, you and I have talked about this, that a lot of times that the medical professionals will disregard, like Kate, even when you first started, I heard you say for some of your clients, when you suggest labs or tests, doctors are like, nope. So I'm curious, like, what are the reasons you believe the gut is either a missing or disregarded piece when it comes to a lot of these chronic cases or misdiagnosed cases? Hey,
Yeah, Noah. We just got interrupted by my 3-year-old son.
Noah! Yeah, buddy!
Hey.
I swore I locked the door. All right.
Nice, Noah.
All right. Say bye-bye, Noah.
Bye-bye.
All right.
All right, bye, Noah. Bless up, man. That's the dude.
All right. Let's lock this door more.
Hey,
Okay.
man, he wants to get it on the gut health, B.
My wife's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. All right.
No, it's all
Now the world knows. Okay.
beautiful.
All right.
I love it.
All right.
I think you were asking me about why you think it's missed.
Yeah. What's the reasons you think?
I was gonna say, do you want me to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So, I mean, there are a lot of things that are missed because there's not a drug for it. I see this in labs a lot. And I think that, again, if you go into a primary doctor and tell them that you have anxiety, they're trained to diagnose and prescribe. And I don't think that that's a horrible thing. I think doctors are really important. And I think that medication can be life-saving. It's just that we've gotten away from utilizing our doctors and medication for, in my opinion, the right things. We use them for the wrong things so many times. So you go in with a symptom, you have a diagnosis and a prescription. The end. They are not in the business of digging for a root cause. So I think very simply that's why the gut issues are missed as a let's dig to see why this is happening. And then we could take it even further. I work with a lot of people that have gut issues that you would think would warrant a gut exploration. And sometimes they are. They're having pain or severe, acid reflux or bloating or pain, just, twisty type stuff going on in the gut, they'll be referred to like a gastroenterologist or something like that. But the first thing that usually happens is that they're knocked out and they have a tube put in either end to look in there with the camera and see what's going on. And that's, again, sometimes really important, sometimes life-saving, but it's so invasive and unnecessary in so many cases. And so I know I'm kind of going on and on, but I think there are a few reasons why the gut is missed. And even looking at it, I don't think we look at it the right way, in my opinion, in conventional medicine. I think that we could have a dual approach. Sometimes it's important to do colonoscopies or endoscopies, but it should not be the very first thing that we do.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Thank you. And one thing for a disclaimer and part of the agreement, Brian and I are very passionate about you telling the damn truth. Okay. Like, speak your truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
You could maybe other places, but not here.
Yeah.
So I'm appreciating what you're saying. And so what I'm hearing in your response, Kate, is a part of it is like, really, there's no way for them to make money if we're doing some of the ways that are going to be more conducive for people to really get to the end result. Like insurance is going to be like, let me write you this nice check.
Yeah. Sorry. There's just not a lot of money in healing. I have this conversation a lot and I get it. We live in a country mostly, but society, I'll say world, where if everybody got healthy for real, we'd be in big trouble. Our entire economy would collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could do it, but that's just what would happen. And I wanted to say something about what you were talking about earlier. I've been in your shoes. I was a personal trainer for many years, way back in the day. And then in my health coaching world, before I got into functional medicine, same kind of thing. It's very difficult to get people to make big changes, big lifestyle changes, big food changes. I mean, they could be eating the same sandwich every day and feeling miserable. And you say, hey, maybe try not eating the sandwich. And they're like, oh no, that's too difficult for me. Yeah. So one thing, and I know we'll talk more about the labs, but the one thing I love about this functional medicine work and the labs, it lights a fire under people. They will do things for themselves that even shocks them. And I work with a lot of kids, shocks the parents. How in the world do you get my kid to eat differently? And it's
whoa. Come back to that for a second.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay. So can you share a little, I want to understand better, like what is, when you flip that switch, what is it that you see lights the fire for them? Like, is it seeing the results, seeing like the impact? What is it do you think that is?
I think it's the results. You know, I mean, I don't really run regular labs like the stuff that your primary care. I do sometimes, but not that often. So these are different types of labs. They usually have like a color coding system, a green, yellow, and a red. And when you see that all over that page, you pay attention. And it's got to be that. And I don't know, I do really pride myself as a practitioner. I walk through in detail with my clients. I want to make sure they fully understand what's going on. So, you know, sometimes we're on Zoom for 90 minutes trying to explain things to them. But it's so important that we understand what's going on. I think that's another piece of it that lights the fire.
Thank you for that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you for that. I think that's important. Once people see the light, it's crazy. And Brian, and I want to get to functional testing, but I know Brian over the years, man, I know you've shared some stories of working with your clients and suggesting certain things that they could do that their doctors may not have recommended or that their doctors missed. And I'm curious, are you open to sharing like one of those stories or something, just so people that are listening can get to understand, like, there may be some other options besides what your doctor may be telling you?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily a story, but like people got to understand, like we talked about this in the past. Listen, I break a leg or I get an infection, I'm going to my doctor. I'm not doing a ayahuasca retreat with my leg snapped in half. You know, it's not going to happen. But I hate to knock on, but like it's there. I've learned a lot from doctors, but you're a product of your education. Yeah. You go to school, to learn how to diagnose something, prescribe a pill for this ill, to do surgery, do this. And these schools are run by pharmaceutical companies that pay the schools to teach them what they want you to learn. So there's never been a prescription drug in the history of drugs that's ever cured anything. Right. So that's one of the things they miss. And then these people go to the white coats and they're like, they look at them like it's the next messiah and they should be able to fix them. That's not their job. Their job is not to understand health. It's to kind of fix a symptom. That's all it is. Like you got to go to somebody else. And I think one other thing too, before I forget, what the medical system misses is they don't treat everything as a holistic organism. They treat everything in parts. It's almost like going to like a mechanic. Oh, your tires, you're this and this. So like one of the things I learned from Paul Chek was like, you have like, especially with like the gut health, he's like you have 6 different types of stressors that can be affecting your body. You have your physical stress, always in pain. You have your nutritional stress, eating like crap. You have your psychic stress, whether you're stressed about your, significant other, money, or whatever that is. Environmental stresses like toxins. You have your chemical stress, which is like prescription medication. Then you have like, he says thermal stress, like you're always hot, you're always cold. Your body can't differentiate between one stress or another. It all goes into like this physiological pool and boils over. And every single one of those things will affect. It's not that it might affect the gut, it will affect the gut. That's where everything starts. So it's like when you go to a doctor, they don't ask you about your nutrition. They don't ask you about, other things. And you got to look at the body as a holistic organism. And this is where like somebody like Kate would be perfect. This is the person you go to, not your general practitioner. You might as well just go to your car mechanic for health advice at that point. I'm not knocking. You're just a product of your education.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the second funny thing I heard you say in that response. The first one was like the white coat messiahs.
The white coat messiahs, yeah.
Messiahs. Yo, fine, we're gonna put that on more than black and white T-shirts. Stay away from them.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate what you two are saying, because in what I was hearing you both say is that the conventional medicine misses the holistic approach to things, which is more than just the end symptom, which is more than just the end, what's going on at the end of this. Is looking at, okay, what are the symptoms, what's the result, or what's at the root of this, and really taking that approach to it. So with that said, I want to start to transition into when we talk. I heard both of you talk about functional medicine, functional testing. Kate, I know when we spoke briefly before, you were saying how there's certain tests, even before you were saying like you got certified to do these different labs. So with that in mind, can you two share like what are some of the I'm resistant to saying standard, but what are some of the tests and protocols that are out there to help people get a better idea of where their body is in regard to their gut health and just overall?
Yeah, go ahead, Kate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for functional labs, which is what I run, they're called functional diagnostic labs. I really only think that there are 2 on the market that are worth running. There are companies coming up, but so I work with a company that their gut test is called a gut zoomer, and it is in my opinion, the most thorough gut microbiome test that there is out there. So we're looking for pathogens, which are parasites, worms, viruses, overgrowth of harmful bacteria. We also look for good bacteria, digestive markers, immune markers. It's very thorough. It's by itself like a 30-page document. And so, you know, there's another one that's similar, called a GI map. And in my opinion, that's the best way to look at everything that's going on in the gut. It's an at-home stool collection kit. It's very easy to do. The labs ship you a kit at home. You do the kit, pop it back in the FedEx box, and within a couple weeks, we know everything there is to know about what's going on in the gut.
Woo, child.
That's really cool.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you collect some doo-doo.
Yep.
It goes to the lab, and then they test it to see what's in the doo-doo.
Yep.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that people have an understanding that, like, listen, this is about you actually taking your stool and letting someone analyze. It's not like there's some magic scanner that's on ChatGPT that's going to tell us. So I just want to make sure that there's a clarity around what the diagnostics do include. So my apologies for interrupting.
That's a good point. No, I appreciate you saying that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there are a couple others that I like that would go along with it. It's called a wheat zoomer. I'll call it a leaky gut panel. It's a finger stick test. You put a few blood spots on a testing sheet and send it in. Mm-hmm. And it would let us know if you have leaky gut. And if so, what's the severity? And are you sensitive to wheat and gluten? Or are you celiac? It's actually a celiac test, which is fabulous because right now, most of the time, mainstream conventional will do a colonoscopy and blood work to let you know if you have celiac. And I've worked with many people that have they've been misdiagnosed with that as well. So there are a few different things, but the gut test, the stool sample gut test is by far, I think, the best thing that people can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
B, you got any thoughts or
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have access as a trainer. We don't have access to those tests.
Liability heaven.
Yeah, it's liability heaven. Actually, at least in the tri-state, you don't have it. But when I was working at Lifetime as a trainer, other areas in the country, they did have access to food sensitivity tests. But I know all of them are. I mean, I appreciate you, Kate, talking about the specific kinds because they're not all food sensitivity tests are all the same. There's good ones and bad ones. So that's great information. But like as a trainer, I just automatically. I mean, I just look at somebody and I can be like, all right, you have 90% of the time you have leaky gut. 99%. So I just treat everyone like they do have leaky gut. Otherwise, they're probably not going to come and see me for some issue, right? So I talk to them about like everything, like, you know, as far as food sensitivities go. And one of the things I noticed with a lot of people, I break down like, all right, what are you eating? And give me like a 2-day like food diet really quick. And they eat the same foods over and over again. And I tell people, like, listen, like most people that I've seen, I've done food tests, I've done muscle testing through food sensitivity tests, like a little old school method. And I've seen most people are allergic to chicken, rice, broccoli, because they eat the same foods over and over and over again. And you start building these allergies up. It's like doing the same workout over and over again. Your body's, go ahead.
People are allergic to chicken?
If you eat the same foods over, Kate, back me up here. If you eat the same foods over and over again, you're going to start building some intolerances up. You will.
Well, because the lack of diversity in the diet will contribute to a lack of diversity in the gut.
Yeah.
Like you don't have any of the good gut bugs. You got too many of the bad gut bugs, and that causes leaky gut.
Yeah.
And gut causes food sensitivities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying this, right? Because I mean, I'm thinking about how many people food prep and have the same broccoli and chicken, basmati rice, and it's the same thing. So, and what I'm hearing you say is like, even though it may be good thing and you're having the same thing, it's like your gut becomes very vanilla and is resistant to really handling anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing Paul Check taught me was whatever you just say, always go on a 4-day food rotation diet if you're really like strict. So whatever you eat on a Monday, just make sure you don't eat that same food again until Thursday. Yeah. So he'll have like one day he'll be like all chicken, and one day he'll eat all fish, one day he'll eat all beef, another day he'll eat whatever animals left, whatever. And then he'll kind of go on that rotation. So that'll ensure that you're not going to start getting allergies in you. Yeah. And I know most people's like outer lining of their gut is jacked up. So most people have like, you know, they have leaky gut. They have, whether it's like, you know, caused by stress, any kind of stress that we talked about before. And it's just like a disaster. So I just treat everyone like it's leaky gut. I try to tell them to stay away from grains. Not that grains are bad. Like when I travel to Europe or I travel anywhere else, like I can eat a shit ton of grains and be totally fine. I mean, I can come back and my abs will be popping. If I look at like pizza here, I look like I'm in my second trimester, you know? So,
he's like, what's the baby do, B?
Yeah. Not great here.
It's the quality of food. Exactly. It's the quality of food that we have here is just trash, you know? Especially when they started spraying everything with glyphosate about 25 years ago. You never had, I mean, we're all probably about the same age. Like growing up in like middle school, I never heard anybody with a gluten allergy or a celiac. You know,
neither, bro.
No, you didn't hear about it. You know, so that's the way I kind of go about it.
I like that you do that. I mean, there's no harm in just focusing on gut health and gut healing. And if you have to tell people that they probably have leaky gut to get them to do it, fine, because it's so important that people work on their gut health. Absolutely.
Sure.
And by the way, I mean, I might have said this at the end, but I'll say it now. Like these, at least for the tests that I run, I now have the ability to offer them to the public. Like people can go on my website and buy their own tests. So if you have people that want to do that, you don't have to like contract with a doctor or anything. I could just
love it.
Send them to a website.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna put your link in the bio in the comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that.
Your site is thorough. I want to talk about your book too, because in your book, do you talk a lot about what you do for your services, or is it like what tell us more about, and we're going to get to the advocate piece, but tell us more about like what your book is and how that plays into what you do as far as gut health.
Thank you for bringing that up. So my book is really like a step-by-step teaching people how to do for themselves what I help people do. So it's talking about, you know, it's coming from like a weight loss perspective. I'm talking about food sensitivity testing, what it feels like if you have food sensitivities and what to do about it and how to get a hold of a test and all the other types of labs, hormones and toxin testing and gut testing and all that kind of stuff. And it's really just, you know, if you're experiencing weight loss resistance and you're, you know, doing all the things that you know to work, you're exercising and you're eating clean and nothing's happening for you, it's not working, there's some kind of a hidden stressor going on in your body. So these tests will help you find the hidden stressors.
Is this your book?
Oh, there's my book. That was my quarantine project in 2020.
You know,
we all had a project.
We all had a project, right? Yeah, buddy. All
Very
right,
cool.
So we're gonna put this in the show notes too, because I think it's important. I think it's good to have for people to have a guide, right? That they can come back to. I think it's extremely important.
Hey, Kate, let me ask you a question. From back to doing research and courses and everything like that, I remember people saying like, hey, about 90% of people have like some kind of fungal infection, some parasite infection. That comes up in your test, and if it does, like, what do you do to kind of fix that? I know like sugar is a base, it kind of feeds everything.
Yeah.
And besides cutting out sugar, what do you look to do?
It depends what I find. So if it's a parasite, I always recommend some type of parasite eradication protocol. I have it's all natural herbal stuff that I recommend. And for like fungal issues, it's a combination usually and of antifungals. Garlic is for that. But it's a combination. But the sugar piece is so huge. Like all of these horrible things are feeding off the sugar. So that's a tough one for people.
Oh yeah.
Sugar. But I usually, when I go through the labs and I tell them what's going on and I make a recommendation, I always give them a choice because there are always choices. There's different ways to go about these things. But my number one, I beg them to please go off of sugar. And I usually do like a pretty aggressive 2 weeks, no sugar, not even fruit.
Oh, wow. Not even fruits? Dang. Oh, I got to try that.
They love that fructose.
I mean, it makes a difference. But yeah, there's always an approach, and it works. I mean, the herbal stuff, it always works better than the chemical stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. What's up? I want to pivot. I want to take this into, especially as we're talking about remedies, next step actions once we find something, and then also even talking about having guides like your book, Kate. Let's start to talk about what someone can do to begin being an advocate for their own gut, for their gut health. So, I mean, we talked about getting the diagnostics, and doing these protocols, but I'm curious to know for you two, what would be some steps, some like practical steps that people could take to really start healing their gut? Or what's coming to mind instead of healing the gut is loving up their gut, like loving it. Like, so what's some steps that you two have on that?
You want to go? You want me to go?
Yeah.
Well, you both already. You're like, who's going first? Yeah, go ahead.
We've already talked about the lab, so I'm such a huge fan of them because even sometimes some of the things that we would recommend, meaning like anybody in the health profession, they're not always great depending on what's really going on. So like I hear a lot about so-and-so told me to start a digestive enzyme, which I like digestive enzymes. They can make a difference for people. They can be really important if you need them, because if you need them and you're not taking them, that means you're not breaking down your food. You're not getting your essential nutrients. Your cells don't have the things they need to function. We're in trouble. But if you have certain types of I'll call them pathogens, like H. pylori, you might have heard of. Like if you have certain things going on in your gut, it can actually be dangerous to take certain types of digestive enzymes. So being able to really understand what's going on with a lab, I think is important. However, some basics that I really like, one that Brian already said, please eat a variety of foods. Don't eat the same thing every time.
Wait for a second. Can we get some clarification on the types of food? Because there's a lot of foods out there. There's like some Wendy's double stacks. There's like Starbursts. So can we get some clarification? Listen, yeah. Hey, man. Hey, listen. I gotta be the one that's like the ignorant one, man. What do we got? What are we talking about? Tell me.
How about Whole Foods, Paul?
Yeah.
Real food. Real food.
Yeah,
real food.
Nothing that comes in a box bag or can, if possible.
Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
buy organic if you can, hormone-free, antibiotic-free.
Nice.
I mean, if you're concerned about your gut health, I don't think that staying away from grains is a bad idea, especially in the US. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
But yeah, stay away from Wendy's and whatever else Chick-fil-A, whatever else you said.
Hey, Kate, when you were talking, can you clarify something? 'Cause something I never knew or I wasn't aware of. You said sometimes when you have like H. pylori, taking digestive enzymes can make it worse. How does that happen? Or how can that make it worse? I know a lot of people that take digestive enzymes and probiotics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be careful because not all digestive enzymes are created equally.
Mm.
And so ingredients are really important. And, you know, also, especially with, I don't mean to pick on H. pylori, but, you know, that's a big issue for a lot of people because there's a lack of stomach acid. We need that stomach acid to create an inhospitable environment in our gut for the bugs, so they don't want to hang out. And so just like knowing what's going on before you jump at a supplement, especially when you're experiencing some type of symptom, I think is really important. You can take the wrong thing.
Yeah. What's your opinion on, I've read some stuff before, people were saying, or doctors were saying, or people in the holistic field were saying, like, I don't even they don't like to give too much probiotics. They say a lot of the probiotics out there is like really bad for the gut because you have billions of different types of strands of probiotic in your gut already, living in like a natural state. And then you overload yourself with maybe 5 or 8 strands of maybe like 20,000 or 20 million CFUs or something, and it disrupts the balance of the bacteria in the gut when you take the same thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
Kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, we can overdo anything, right? Like you can overdo water. Like, so I think it's important not to just jump into taking something, and especially, you know, some people are like, well, maybe if I take extra, then that'll help me extra. No, that's not the way it works. Another good reason for the test, like they actually, the gut zoomer that I use will tell you exactly what the beneficial bacteria looks like in your gut, so you can be really specific about the probiotics to build up the stuff that you're missing. So
very cool.
Get really targeted. But yeah, really just being careful with stuff like that, I think, is important. One sign that you've maybe overdone it or you picked the wrong one would be if you start a probiotic and you have horrible bloating or gas immediately. That's a sign. It could be a sign that there's a lot of harmful bacteria that is not happy also. But you got to be careful with stuff like that too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks.
And then one of the other things I think that people sort of forget about is we got to slow down when we eat. Like, just, you know, try not to grab and run out the door and shovel it in your face. Digestion begins when we are preparing our food. Digestion begins in the mouth. Like, so try to slow down, take a couple deep breaths, recognize what's in front of your face before you shovel it in, you know. And that's so hard because we're just a grab and go society.
It's like the Chinese sayings, like chew your water, drink your food.
Yeah.
Chew your water, drink your food.
Then, you know, it's too much. So I guess that's another practical tip. Which I know it's a hard one.
Paul, you all right?
Yeah, I'm laughing because like I love the taste of, I love like senses, right? So I love like if I'm like when I'm cooking and I'm smelling something, like I'm putting like leftovers together, I'm like, that smells good. And then when I'm tasting something, people are usually making fun of me because like my first like 5 or 6 bites of something, I'm like, yo, that's a lot, Joe.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm laughing because I was just at this event, this boxing event on Sunday, and they had like acai bowls and like these granolas and things, and they had this like mango pineapple base, and I'm sitting here, and I'm closing my eyes, and I'm tasting it, and I look up, and everybody's looking at me like, "Yo, what's wrong with you?" I was like, "Yo, I'm slowing down my food, man. I'm slowing down how I'm taking it in." Because I think I'm so happy that you brought this up, because I think people fail to even recognize the pace in which we're eating, like, because there's such a conditioning to go, 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 that we translate that into how we consume things. Like we consume it, like it's like a condition. We consume it with the Netflix. We're going to binge watch shit. We go to Costco. We're going to buy 500 paper towel rolls. We're going to go here. I'm going to stuff this food in my face. And I'm telling, when I was up to like, I think it was like 240, 245. One of the things that helped me lose weight was I started eating everything with a knife and fork. You're a Seinfeld fan. So like I was a George Costanza. I was like, are you eating a Snickers with a fork, knife and fork? How do you eat it? You know what I'm saying? So like, I went to that road. Brian, you got to watch that episode. We'll watch that together.
I get the premise of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so happy you said that, because even that, like, when you talk about where the digestion starts, if we're just shoveling food down our mouth and those enzymes in our mouth are failing to break things down, that's a chain impact. That's a chain effect. So
the physical stress on the body.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time.
Me too, bro. I'm like, listen, I want people to understand. Brian and I aren't here like we're trying to preach from the pulpit. Like we're sharing this here because we experience the same damn thing. So we want you all to be better. So we're going to give you the knowledge that we're going along with, man. It's powerful, man.
It's good. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of power, as we wrap up, right? Let's talk about empowerment, lifestyle, and long-term healing. So, Kate, one of the things that I saw, and I think, I'm trying to remember where I saw these things, but there was a point where you said you don't need to be fixed. You need to be understood.
Yeah.
So can you share, like, as we talk about empowerment, what does that mean for what can that mean for someone on their healing journey from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said that because, again, it's another way to try to help people reframe what's going on, what's happening to them.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of people that feel very unheard and dismissed. You know, they go in to see their doctor and are telling them all the things, and they're like, well, you're in your 40s, and you have a couple of kids. So, like they're just like dismissing what's happening. And a lot of them, feel like it's all their fault because they're not doing things right. And I don't want people to feel like that. I want them to understand that it's not them and they're doing anything wrong. They just don't have the right tools to understand what's going on inside of their body. Because once they know, once they've uncovered the hidden stressors and their healing opportunities, now they know what their body needs, and there's no more guessing. And it's amazing to watch people heal when they know what's going on. It is the coolest thing. And so many times during like my initial consultations, my clients will be in tears because it's the first time someone's actually like listened to them and acknowledged and validated that they're experiencing these things and that it's not their fault, not that they're just being lazy or whatever it is. So, I want people to understand that, again, going back to what we were talking about before, reframing the symptoms, they're not broken. It's just their body talking to them. They just need maybe someone to help them like decode this message and figure out what it really means. And then again, once you have that knowledge, once you have the information, and then you can, have someone like myself or like Brian or, other people to let them know what they can do about it. And then they commit to it, then the healing begins. And that's so empowering for people.
Beautiful.
Dang, Brian, anything you want to add to that, man? That was so wow. That was oof.
Yeah. As far as like empowerment goes, it got me thinking a couple things. So, I mean, first of all, like our medical system is not designed to empower you. It's designed for you to rely on you, right? And when you started talking about this, Paul, and you brought this question up, right away I thought of Dr. Emoto. With the water crystals. I forgot his first name. So empowerment, that's a high vibration, right? So if you take a bottle of water and you put, disempowerment, and you take another bottle of water and you put empowerment on it, and you feel that energy, the disempowerment bottle of water is going to be murky, right? The empowerment bottle is going to be crystal. It's going to be crystal clear, right? You got to understand, like our bodies are like 80% water, depending on what part of your body you're looking at. So if you're not empowered, it's almost like your body's like a swamp. Nasty things live in these swamps. You got critters, you got bugs, you got parasites, you got fungal. So just by empowering your client or empowering yourself, man, that just clears everything up into like a beautifully, river going down the mountain stream. It just changes the whole vitality of your energy, your body, your vibration. So I think that's super important to try to empower people, because that's the opposite of what the medical community does.
That's very true. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's great.
You two, man. You two are my gut pros. I love it. And listen, this is important because, I know, like, again, over the years, like hearing Brian talk about this, I know how important it is, and he's shared a lot of information that I've integrated. And Kate, having you on and talking about how you work with people in gut health, and it's so beautiful to hear how you two are helping others to realign. And I'm feeling what you're saying with the decoded, Kate, about like, hey, so there's nothing wrong, because I think when I heard you say that, people sometimes are in tears, I think there's a lot of times people go to a doctor or they'll have a symptom, they'll do their best to explain it, and then like they get disregarded. And that's discouraging. That's like, oh man, like maybe I'm just crazy. And that has people either revert back to like poor behavior or simply ignore a symptom, which ends up being something terribly wrong later on down the road. So I really applaud and appreciate what you two do. Kate, what you're doing out here. Brian, I always appreciate you for how you show up and how you teach and educate. So I think it's important that we have this episode and get it out there for people, man. Your gut is important. That's the solar plexus chakra. That's your will. That's your self-empowerment. And that's the sun. That's where you get your energy. So for a gut to be right is so important for our overall health and well-being and how we show up in the world. That's a key piece. Before we wrap up, Kate, any takeaway? Kate and Brian, any takeaways for the folks before we head out?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I would say, I'm a big fan of the gut. I think everything, like I said before, emanates from the gut outwards. Get Kate's book. Learn. I would highly recommend, I think all diseases start from the gut and emanate its way outwards. Get the tests done so at least we just talked about empowerment. That's how you empower yourself and the whole thing we talked about in the past episodes, like the difference between holistic health and conventional health is holistic health is proactive. Yeah. The other end of it is reactive. Yeah. So be proactive about your health and do everything now before something happens to you in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite clients when they come to me and they're like, I'm pretty good. I just want to know what's going on inside and what I'm missing. It's like, oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
you're different.
Yeah. And, again, I agree with you. Don't wait. But if you did wait and you do have symptoms, just know they're not random.
Yeah.
And they are really your friend. They are your body's messages to tell you that there's something going on, and don't stop digging until you find the root cause. There is a root cause. And the guessing game is just no fun when you can figure it all out. And we have the tools now, so use them. And yeah, there's some in my book, a lot more on my website. So yeah.
Very cool.
Well. And now I'm going to pull up Kate's website. Yeah, buddy. Integrative Wellness.
What's that?
It's Integrative Wellness. Oh, look at this. Look at Kate. Okay, hold on. Let me rock this piece real quick. All right, hold up. Yeah. So, Kate, while we're pulling up your website, how do people get in contact with you if they want to work with you?
There are a couple ways in my website where you can book I always do what's called a discovery call. I meet with everybody for 15, 20 minutes. I want to get to know you, understand what's going on with you, make sure I'm the right person to help before I will let you know how I can help. So that's probably the easiest way. I have a couple of, I think they're pretty cool, like assessments in there. They're free assessments. I have actually, since we're talking about the gut today, I have a gut reset guide. So it's like it's a step-by-step guide that you can follow to start kind of, making gut improvements. There's also some ways to figure out what your symptoms might mean. So you can kind of start to investigate that on your own. But there's lots of ways to connect with me directly from my website. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn,
all the goodies,
all those places.
So people can do it anywhere around the world with you. You can do it over the phone. Okay, very cool. All right, cool.
I am virtual. Yeah, I have an office. Cool. I have an office in Springfield, but virtual is great. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool.
We're gonna post all her goody goods in the show notes. Listen,
it's so fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
This is awesome.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure.
Nice, nice. We can tell that you're passionate about what you do. So that's freaking so fresh, and I think the listeners, the viewers, are gonna feel that too. So people, take care of yourself here. Take care of yourself. Be your own advocate, like Brian and I are always talking about. And Kate dropped some gems. Go back. Maybe watch it on 1.25 speed. Take some notes. Check the show notes. Take an assessment. Take charge of your health. Be the captain of your fate and the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Bless up to you. Thank you for joining. Like, share, subscribe. We are Paul and Brian here with the More Than Black or White podcast. We'll be here every week. Check us out on Instagram. We got some more videos coming out on YouTube. Woo, child. So listen, man, we're excited. Listen, keep growing and keep taking care of yourself, because you know what? When it comes down to it, you are the one that truly saves you. So bless up, everybody. Until next time, out of here.